Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone. Alright, students from campus Segamat and also campus Bandaraya Melaka. So as Puan Zura just now mentioned, this is the last slot that we have. So let's make the best out of it. Alright, so how to score for final exam. I'm focusing on hire purchase. Madam Zura has already explained to you regarding agency last week. Alright, so today is on hire purchase. So basically what I intend to do is, while I'm explaining the overview, I'm not going to go into detail of hire purchase chapter because that will take very long. I'm sure you have already learned hire purchase. So basically what I intend to do is just to give an overview explanation of the law on hire purchase, and while doing so, there are some advice that I would like to share with you, as this would help in your future financial commitment on hire purchase agreement. And of course, I would like to focus on some of the subtopics in hire purchase and guide you as to how to excel in the final exam. Okay, all right, so let's recap what you have learned regarding hire purchase. What is the scope for hire purchase? Now basically, this is the scope of hire purchase. First of all, you need to be well versed regarding the nature of hire purchase. The definition of hire purchase is very important because it's not just about memorizing what is the definition of hire purchase, but from the definition of hire purchase, it explains the nature of the hire purchase agreement, and it has relevance to other subchapters, subtopics, for example, regarding the formation, regarding the statutory rights, regarding repossession, and so on. So basically, you've got the nature of hire purchase agreement, formation of hire purchase agreement. There are 9 requirements to be fulfilled, right? And one thing about hire purchase agreement is that the requirements for the formation of hire purchase agreement is very strict. It is strictly regulated by the Hire Purchase Act. Unlike sale of goods or unlike contract where there are no fixed or rather fixed requirements as to how the agreement can be created, but for hire purchase agreement, there are strict requirements, and if the owner does not follow or does not comply with the requirements, then the agreement can be void. Okay, so you need to know the requirements to be fulfilled for a hire purchase agreement. And then you've got the protection for hirer and guarantor. Basically, this is regarding the 5 implied conditions and warranties. And another type of protection given is in respect of misrepresentation by the owner or the dealer. All right. And then you've got the statutory rights of the hirer. There are 7 statutory rights. Each of the statutory right protects the hirer's interest. As I said earlier, it has a bearing on the nature of hire purchase agreement. From the definition of hire purchase agreement, if you really understand it, then you will know why certain statutory rights are given to the hirer. And then we've got the repossession. And repossession happens when the hirer fails to pay the monthly installment. So you need to know what are the 5 requirements for repossession. Okay, now as I said just now, the definition is very important because it spells out the nature of the hire purchase agreement and the obligations of the parties in the hire purchase agreement. Now, the definition is contained in section 2 of the Hire Purchase Act. Basically, it says, now what are the keywords that you need to know? You see, it says here, it is an agreement for the letting of goods. Letting of goods. Okay, bila you all tulis, make sure that you don't have to memorize the section word by word. Tapi kalau you all guna ayat yang dalam section ni, make sure lah ayat tu betul lah. Letting of goods. Letting of goods means what? The owner sewakan, letting. Letting of goods. Janganlah guna perkataan yang salah. Letting go. Dia tak let go. Dia tak let go dia punya ownership. Dia kekalkan dia punya ownership. Let it go lah pula. Kan? Dah masuk cerita Frozen pula. Okay, so letting of goods, penyewaan barang. Okay, with an option to purchase. Ada option, ada pilihan untuk membeli. Sebab tu nama dia hire purchase. Sewa, beli. Sewa dulu, lepas tu you beli. you hire dulu, and then after that you buy it or purchase it. Or the purchase of goods by installment. So from here it shows that there is a duty of the hirer that he has to pay the goods by installment. Right? Most often than not, hire purchase is where the hirer cannot afford perhaps, ataupun because of certain reasons he may not want to pay for the goods in full. Alright, so he pays it by way of installments. Alright, and this is an agreement which stretches for a long duration of time. Yeah, for example, for 3 years or 5 years or 7 years or even 9 years sometimes. And here is how the hire purchase agreement is made. Right? For example, now most often than not, basically there are two categories of goods. Yeah, you've got the motor vehicles and also household goods. Yeah. Now, most often than not, people will enter into hire purchase agreement when they want to buy a car. So, what happens when a person wants to buy a car? So, let's say this person, this intending hirer, now he goes to the car dealer, and dia nak beli kereta, dia tak ada terus pergi bank, dia pergi tengok kereta dulu. So, he goes to a car dealer. Alright, so he goes to a car dealer, have a look at the car, test drive the car, discuss the price. Yeah, but most often than not, people will not buy car by way of cash. Yeah, for a number of reasons. Yeah, most important reason is of course most people cannot afford to pay cash. Yeah, 50,000, 70,000, 100,000. Dia tak adalah cash nak bayar macam tu. And another reason is well, if you pay cash, then this could be something that would trigger the LHDN. You bayar cash kereta, especially kalau orang tu tak bayar income tax. And kalaupun dia bayar income tax pun, biasanya pembelian kereta secara cash ni dia akan trigger sikit pada LHDN. LHDN akan siasat balik lah. Dia boleh mampu beli kereta cash, jadi dia punya income tax ni commensurate tak dengan dia punya apa yang dia bayar untuk income tax, sama tak dengan dia mampu ke tidak bayar kereta cash ni. Kalau dia bayar income tax sikit tapi boleh beli kereta cash, then dia akan disiasat. Okay, so basically most often than not, the car dealer will advise, enter into a hire purchase agreement. Ambillah, ataupun bahasa pasar some people would say is ambillah loan bank. Okay, loan. Dia bukanlah loan dari segi macam kita ambil pinjaman pribadi, personal loan. No, hire purchase is different. Okay, so what happens is that the bank will buy the goods from the car dealer, and the bank becomes the owner. Okay, the bank becomes the owner. Alright, and the bank will enter into a hire purchase agreement with the hirer. Alright, and through this agreement, the hirer is supposed to pay the monthly installments to the bank. Because the bank has already paid, katalah kereta tu RM100,000. Okay, bank dah bagi dah duit RM100,000 tu kepada car dealer. So sekarang ni hirer yang kena bayar balik kepada bank RM100,000 ni. Now what happens in this during this hire purchase agreement period is that the bank retains the ownership. Ownership masih ada lagi dengan the bank. The hirer only gets possession. What is possession? Possession basically is when you have physical control over the goods. You don't have the ownership. Okay? So, it is the duty of the hirer that he must pay the monthly installment without fail. Alright? And as I said just now, usually hire purchase agreement is for a long duration. 3 tahun, 5 tahun, 7 tahun, 9 tahun. Okay? So, tempoh yang lama tu hirer kena pastikanlah dia bayar installment setiap bulan without fail, otherwise the bank will be able to repossess because the goods belong to the bank. So jangan perasan bila kita beli kereta, selagi kereta tu tak habis lagi bayar, kereta tu bukan kereta kita, kereta tu kereta bank. Okay, alright, so you must make sure that you pay the monthly installment when you do get a car later on in future. When you buy a car under hire purchase agreement, make sure that you pay the monthly installments without fail. Jangan jadi orang-orang yang dah lah tak bayar installment, lepas tu lari-lari sorokkan kereta pula kan. Okay, now let's see. Katalah, if you buy a car. Now this is an example of the price of the car that I have obtained. The price may be different this year, ni beberapa tahun lepas lah. Okay, just to show you lah. Okay, because sometimes some people dia suka ambil 5 tahun, ada yang suka ambil 7 tahun, ada yang suka panjangkan lagi 9 tahun. So kalau tengok, kalau 9 tahun kat sini, Okay, memanglah dia punya bayaran tiap-tiap bulan tu kurang. Contohnya kalau dia ambil yang paling advance lah, MIZA yang paling advance ni, 654, 9 tahun dia kena bayar. Kalau dia ambil 5 tahun, 1058 setiap bulan. Ni setiap bulan monthly pay installments Higher purchase price dia adalah 54,500 on the road, OTR ni on the road ni maksudnya termasuk insurance termasuk insurance sekali. This is the price, total price. Deposit yang kena bayar is 10%. Okay, this is the deposit. Okay, so higher purchase price yang dia kena bayar selepas tolak deposit ialah RM54,500. So tiap-tiap bulan dia kena bayar. Alright, so a word of advice to you, before you enter into hire purchase agreement, number one, make sure that you can well afford to pay for the whole duration. You kena ingat kena bayar selama berapa tahun yang you agree to enter into hire purchase period for. Kalau 9 tahun lah. Kita tak tahu, kita kerja ni kadang-kadang dalam masa 5 tahun tak tahu apa jadi, mungkin naik pangkat, alhamdulillah. Kalau misalnya hilang pekerjaan, so these are the things that you macam pandemik hari tu kan, so you have to remember that you must be able to afford to pay the installments. Katalah misalnya, cuba tengok, some people they like to stretch it, but sometimes it's not advisable to stretch it, because memanglah in the short run nampak macam lagi murah lah kalau bayar bulan-bulan yang rendah sikit ni kalau you stretch 9 years. Tapi you tengok, kalau total amount for 5 years you bayar is this much. Tapi kalau misalnya you stretch for 9 years, dia jadi lebih. Pasal apa? Because of the interest. Okay? So in the end, you memanglah tiap-tiap bulan bayar sikit, tapi as a total, you are in fact paying more if you stretch it longer. So if you want to reduce the monthly installments, instead of stretching it to a longer duration, it would be more advisable if you can afford it lah. If you can afford it, it would be more advisable to pay more deposit. Sebab deposit ni walaupun dia kata 10%, this is the minimum. Okay, kalau you ada duit banyak, you boleh je bayar deposit lebih. So bila you pay more deposit, then you will reduce the monthly installment. That would be better. Okay. Alright, so as I mentioned just now, there are two categories of goods under Hire Purchase Act: motor vehicle and also consumer goods. Motor vehicle ni biasalah kereta, alright, motor ke, alright, certain types of lorries and so on. Consumer goods basically apa-apa household goods. Kenapa kena tahu ni? Basically dalam the hire purchase agreement, hire purchase punya question for final exam, kadang-kadang dia sebutlah apa barang-barang yang dia beli. So you must know whether or not the goods are hire purchase under the Hire Purchase Act ke tidak.